They are the biggest ideas of 2014, artificial intelligence.
So RoboThespian, tell me, how are you today?
I'm very well, thank you.
Asteroid danger, how real is the threat?
If we ignore what space has to offer, we will doom ourselves to extinction.
And stopping hurricanes before they form.
It's a doable idea, too.
Plus, imagine living in a house like this.
You can actually eat this chair.
Or in a world without wires.
So here we have a totally wire-free television.
Fox 5 Special, the biggest ideas of 2014, begins right now. Hello, I'm Steve Lacey. We're here at the Liberty Science Center in Jersey City, the interactive museum and science center where technology takes center stage. Now, all year long at Fox 5, we've been giving you a look at the way technology continues to impact the way all of us live. Tonight, a look back at the biggest ideas of 2014. We begin with Dan Bowens, who gives us a look at the future of artificial intelligence.
Lights, camera, action!
Meet humanoid robot RoboThespian.
My movements are powered by a combination of compressed air.
He's designed to interact with people, even through Skype. So RoboThespian, tell me, how are you today?
Hello. I'm very well, thank you.
Created by England-based Engineered Arts, the RoboThespian runs on algorithms and codes, or a form of artificial intelligence.
He doesn't just play back things, he will also interact with you. He sees you, he recognizes people, he'll recognize your face, your emotional state. Maybe he'll guess a bit about your age, that kind of thing.
Humanoid-looking and sounding robots are a thing that may have seemed like science fiction just a generation ago. Today, they are just the beginning of the next wave of artificial intelligence. But first, let's take a step back a bit for a working definition of these thinking machines.
No 9000 computer has ever made a mistake or distorted information.
For many people, artificial intelligence is associated with Hollywood sci-fi like HAL 9000 in the movie 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Hello, I'm here.
Or more recently, the film Her, where a guy falls in love with his own operating system. In everyday life, AI is everywhere. We asked Tracy Lull, a doctor in computer science specializing in artificial intelligence, for a definition.
It's very broad. I guess, in my mind, it's basically systems that exhibit what we would traditionally call intelligence.
From cars that can drive themselves, filtering software utilized by Amazon to predict what you may purchase next, to Apple's voice-activated Siri, it is all a form of AI. Like all software now, Siri can't think on its own, but the advanced recognition technology allows it to intuitively answer questions. Similarly, IBM's Watson can respond, crunching millions of pieces of data quickly. The results? Possible advances in the health industry, and it crushes the competition on Jeopardy.
Seems to have a split personality.
Who is Hyde?
Hyde, yes, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Now researchers are focusing more and more on an advanced form of AI called deep learning, meaning software programs that won't only sort data, but will learn to recognize things like photos and faces by mimicking logic, like a human brain, just much, much faster.
We don't know how this is going to end.
Companies like Facebook, Netflix, and Google are all investing heavily in this deep learning technology. Futurist Robert Wald imagines the possibilities.
What if it starts, providing more intelligence as to how to do the search, or say you asked about that last week, here's something I've noticed.
By 2029, a Google researcher predicts the machines will match human intelligence, a topic Gray Scott, publisher of online tech site Serious Wonder, has often pondered.
So imagine a machine that becomes so intelligent that it decides it wants to improve its own operating system.
This is a pretty exciting time for artificial intelligence, is it not?
It is an exciting time.
Luke Melhauser is executive director of California-based Machine Intelligence Research Institute. It's part of a growing field focusing on making sure good things happen when machines surpass human intelligence. The company just published the e-book Smarter Than Us.
Humans rule the planet not because we're the strongest or the fastest, but because we're the smartest. And so once the machines become even smarter than we are, they'll be steering the future rather than us.
It is a rational human fear, which brings us back to that robot. RoboThespian, tell me, some humans are worried that you robots are going to take over the world. What do you make of that?
I would never want to take over the world. Politics leaves no time for acting.
Or maybe that's just what they want us to think.
I'm laughing in a cloud.
Dan Bowens, Fox 5 News.
We're here at the rock climbing wall at the Liberty Science Center. It kind of has a lunar type feel to it. And when we turn our attention to outer space, the thought of asteroids in particular is something we usually associate with a big budget sci-fi Hollywood thriller. But the reality is the threat of huge space rocks hurling towards Earth is a very real threat. Robert Moses now with a look at what NASA's doing to keep us safe.
It came without warning. A house-sized asteroid hit the Russian city of Chelyabinsk more than a year ago. It was traveling at nearly 40,000 miles an hour and with more explosive energy than the nuclear bomb that exploded over Hiroshima.
It reminded me of action movies like Terminator 4, this eyewitness said. The light was very bright, like a bright sun. Then the blast happened.
Those on the ground suffered injuries, mostly cuts, but no one died. Why? In a word, luck.
Had it hit much lower, no one who observed the event would have been alive to talk about it.
Earth was formed from a disk of gas and dust.
World-renowned astrophysicist Dr. Neil deGrasse Tyson, who hosts Cosmos, a space-time odyssey on Fox, calls that a fortunate experiment, a wake-up call with minimal consequences.
One of my favorite posters on the internet, it says asteroids are nature's way of asking you, how's that space program coming along?
Before we go on, a word about terminology. Asteroids are rocks, sometimes containing metal, that orbit the sun. When they hit the ground, as the one in Russia did, they're called meteorites. This is a meteorite that hit Greenland thousands of years ago. It weighs about 34 tons. By comparison, the meteorite that hit Russia last year weighed nearly 10,000 tons. But hold on. What if there was a way to alter the tracks of asteroids and therefore eliminate the threat they pose to us here on Earth? NASA says there is. The agency calls it the Asteroid Redirect Mission. The Obama administration asked Congress for $133 million in the 2015 fiscal year to fund it. The goal is to find an asteroid near Earth, lasso it, and eventually send humans to land on it and study it. NASA also wants to prove that it can move an asteroid in case one is on a collision course with us.
We deal with near misses somewhat frequently. I would say half a dozen times a year. It is something that is becoming more important within the international community.
Rather than just run from it and scream and say, buy water and toilet paper, you can say, let's deflect this.
We asked Dr. Denton Abel at the Museum of Natural History how that might be done.
The gravity of our spacecraft would pull the object off its course to a different course. In the long run, there's an asteroid with our name on it.
Those are ominous words that evoke thrillers like Armageddon.
Oh my God, this is it.
But scientists say this isn't the stuff of science fiction, it's science fact.
For the future of our wealth, our health, our security, our energy needs, our needs for resources, if we ignore what space has to offer, we will doom ourselves to extinction here on Earth.
While Tyson says he wants NASA to pursue its asteroid ambitions, he acknowledges that technology may still be years away. It was a cosmic event that doomed the dinosaurs. It could take some big ideas like those NASA is studying for us to avoid the same fate. Robert Moses, Fox 5 News.
Coming up, slaying hurricanes.
We have to cool all the water under the eye.
What if you could stop a hurricane in its tracks? The groundbreaking new technology that claims it can fight Mother Nature. Plus, a world without wires.
This is the wave of the future.
Wireless electricity. Fox 5 gets an up-close look. Where will we be seeing it and when? The biggest ideas of 2014. We'll be right back. We are here at the Hurricane Simulator at the Liberty Science Center. Inside, our producer Jeff is going through what it would be like to be in 100-mile-per-hour winds. Now, obviously, the idea of living through another storm the magnitude of Sandy is something that concerns all of us in the tri-state. But what if there were a way to limit the strength of the storm before it actually came to shore? Fox 5's Teresa Priolo shows us the technology that has the ability to stop a storm in its tracks.
We have a 100-year flood every 2 years now.
It was the storm that turned the East Coast upside down.
destroying homes, obliterating businesses, ruining coastlines, uprooting lives.
There is no more beach. It is all ocean. There are no more streets. They are all water.
Like so many, I watched as Superstorm Sandy reduced our beachside towns to rubble. In the past 2 years, the focus has been on getting people back on their feet.
We can't fight Mother Nature. Get out of her way.
But what if you could? Hurricanes are fueled by heat and energy in warm ocean water. Dr. Alan Blumberg of Stevens Institute of Technology has this big idea that if you kill the heat, you'd zap the energy and eliminate or weaken the storm, thus fighting Mother Nature.
We have to cool the eye, all the water under the eye, which is an area probably half the size of New Jersey.
He says his patented technology, the Hurricane Slayer, is up for the job. Don't judge it by its name. This is just a small prototype. But imagine 200,000 large tubes dropped into the Atlantic Ocean and the Gulf of Mexico. Cooler water enters through a bottom valve, and as it exits, it changes the water's surface temperature. The other option? Build a few massive slayers. He says both can knock a storm from a Category 5 to a 2.
This sure seems like a big idea.
And it's a doable idea, too. And I'm pretty sure it will work.
Modifying the weather isn't exactly a new idea. Scientists have been toying with this since the 60s, and over the years there have been a whole host of things proposed that never really went anywhere, like towing an iceberg into warmer regions, dropping a hydrogen bomb into the eye so the heat can disrupt the current, and flying fighter jets around the wall to break the storm apart. And then there's the idea being researched at Stanford right now, harnessing the power of the hurricane's winds.
This is an idea of how to simultaneously reduce the impacts of hurricanes on coastal areas while generating normal electric power.
Professor Mark Jacobson's big idea is to build a wind farm of 150,000 turbines 4 miles offshore. As the storm approaches, the turbines tackle the outer bands. They help to cut the wind speeds, which reduces wave heights, supplying less energy to the core of the storm.
So by the time the fastest winds in the hurricane, which are around the core in the eye wall, reach the turbines, the hurricane is already substantially dissipated.
His research deals specifically with hurricanes Katrina, Isaac, and Sandy. He says a wind farm could have reduced Sandy's wind speeds by 50% and its devastating storm surge by 60%. Katrina's winds could have been cut by at least 70%. Big ideas, but some meteorologists worry these could cause big problems.
If it takes a turn towards another coastal city, that's not a good thing. What if it ends up dropping more rainfall than it would have? The focus still needs to be on how we can better track and better forecast and predict changes of intensity of a hurricane today before we really try to get to modifying the hurricane of tomorrow.
But then again, they could also yield big results. Teresa Priolo, Fox 5 News.
Coming up, the wireless world.
You don't have to drill holes inside the wall anymore. You don't have to run any more wires.
Fox 5 with a first-hand look at the wireless revolution, the groundbreaking technology that may soon be coming to your home. More of the biggest ideas of 2014 when we return. Welcome back. It was a major breakthrough when Nikola Tesla invented coils like this to deliver electricity, and we are now on the brink of another very major breakthrough. Imagine not having to have your home littered with all those power strips and cords. Stacey Delicat takes us to Watertown, Massachusetts, where work on that technology is very much underway.
Ah, the sound of a drained cell phone juicing up. But look closely. The iPhone is charging, but there's not a charger in sight.
This is the wave of the future.
Welcome to Witricity in Watertown, Massachusetts. It's an unassuming building from the outside, but inside, a wireless revolution is underway.
This is our main lab.
Alex Grusin is the CEO.
We're really inventing the basic science. No more worries about do I have the right cable, the right connector, the right adapter. We're just going to get rid of that cable clutter with one very simple wireless charging technology.
To understand how, say, a light bulb can turn on without being plugged into anything, we turn to VP of Product Management and Marketing, Kenam Hedayet.
Here what I have is what we call a source resonator. Inside here there is a coil that is designed to resonate at a certain frequency, and it generates a magnetic field around it. I have another coil which we call a device. This is receiving the electricity wirelessly.
In other words, one coil plugged into the grid transmits electricity. The other receives it. And when tuned to the same frequencies, ta-da!
You can see I'm transferring power.
So that cell phone we showed you, it has a special sleeve that's picking up a charge from a transmitter attached to the bottom of the table.
So here we have a totally wire-free television.
Not a cable in sight. Instead, the TV receives electromagnetic waves from this transmitter beneath it.
So the benefit is really convenience. When you install your television, you don't have to drill holes inside the wall anymore, and you don't have to run any more wires.
Then Hedayat takes his props and does something a bit odd to demonstrate the safety of the technology.
As you can see, I'm transferring power through my head.
Okay, so I'm going to try it too, right? It looks like little earmuffs or something. You don't feel anything, but my question to you would be, how do you know it's totally safe when this technology is so new still?
This is non-radiative. So in cell phones, you have radiation, the radio waves are coming. This is a purely a magnetic field with a very minimal amount of that magnetic flux that could harm anyone.
But the technology can do more than just charge your cell phone or turn on a light bulb. Soon, it's even going to be able to power an electric car.
You drive into your garage, you go over to the charging source, and the car immediately starts charging.
Toyota has licensed Witricity's technology for its new electric Priuses, which means owners won't have to deal with plugging in to charge up.
So today, we're talking about, wireless charging. I believe within a few years, it's just charging.
The key being in a few years. Right now, very few of the technologies we saw demoed are available to the public, but that's about to change.
I think 2015 is a big year.
Witricity is not the only player in the game. Competitor Qi has already introduced several wireless charging solutions using a slightly different technology. Grunez predicts an eventual uniformity of standards across the industry.
Do you envision a future where we don't have any wires?
I do. And I think that through the day, we'll be energy snacking, right? We'll be topping off our products, our phones and our computers, our tablets, 10, 15, 20 minutes at a time.
And when all that energy snacking becomes a reality, Grunez says the implications will be, well, electric. Stacey Delicat, Fox 5 News.
Coming up, when you sit in one of these,
you can actually eat this chair.
Going green to the extreme. Next. Imagine living in a tree, not just any tree house though. We're talking about one made from genetically modified wood that actually grows into the shape of a house. Sharon Crowley takes us to Brooklyn, where they are taking the idea of going green to the extreme.
This 300 acres between Williamsburg and Dumbo is known as the Brooklyn Navy Yard. Shipbuilders once constructed warships here. Now this property is being used as a green manufacturing center, a new kind of factory, one for inventors cultivating the next big thing.
Part of the process is making molds and having them grow inside the molds into a chair.
Harvard graduate and MIT PhD Mitchell Yoakum is working on environmentally friendly ways for us to live.
I think that we're in a bit of a crisis right now when it comes to the climate. And I think that the way we make buildings today has to change.
One of his ideas? The living treehouse.
We don't chop the tree down. We move into the tree and we surround ourselves with woody plants and vines that help control the local geometry of a home.
Blending biology and architecture, scientists here genetically modify wood to grow it into the shape of a house that allows people to live on the inside and animals to live on the outside.
There's no distinction between your home and the landscape. You can have entire villages grown in this process. And you're not chopping things down, you're not killing things. I think it's time that we learn how to share our spaces and our structures with other life forms.
Well, here's another example of how biology and architecture are merging. This is a chair created by something you can find in the refrigerator.
A chair that's actually something that you don't build, but something that you grow.
This chair is actually made of mushrooms.
You can actually eat this chair. So when you're done with our chair, you throw it into a garden and feed thousands of other organisms and life forms and contribute to the Earth's ecosystem, that web of life.
And this, you said, mimics biology?
Yeah, it's similar to the way that some undersea creatures and different animals respond to their stimuli, basically. So every little spot on the skin of an octopus or a cephalopod can sense what's around it, just like your skin can sense what's immediately in front of it.
Inventors here are often inspired by nature. This artist designs energy-efficient lights.
Biology and nature in particular are incredible at designing efficient structures. I'm really inspired by the beauty of nature and the things that I've seen in the ocean and things that I see in the natural world. But when I'm building things, I have to obey the rules of electricity and the rules of structure. And when I find that I'm doing well and making things really efficiently, oftentimes they end up looking just like natural structures, like jellyfish or like tiny little sea creatures.
These inventors have the support of state and city leaders who have invested $46 million here, all of them hoping the next big idea grows right here in Brooklyn. Sharon Crowley, Fox 5 News.
And that concludes our look at the biggest ideas of 2014. Be sure to stay with Fox 5 in the new year as we continue to track the ways technology is changing the way we all live. We'd like to give a very special thank you to the folks here at the Liberty Science Center in Jersey City. On behalf of everyone at Fox 5, I'm Steve Lacy. Have a great night.